The journey into understanding the silent threats to our kidney health begins with a profound, often unsettling message, much like the one I received just 3 weeks ago. A message I simply could not afford to disregard. It came from a remarkable woman named Carmen, a 63-year-old resident of Guadalajara, whose words I will recount precisely as they were written, for their exact phrasing encapsulates a widespread concern. "Doctor," her message began, "I had routine lab tests, and my doctor told me my kidneys aren't well. But I feel no pain whatsoever. I've never consumed alcohol. I eat quite well, and I do my best to stay active. How is it possible that my kidneys are damaged if I've never felt a thing?" That final query, "How is it possible if I never felt a thing?" echoed in my mind, resonating deeply, because Carmen's situation is far from unique. Indeed, she represents countless individuals, perhaps even you, who are engaged in practices that appear entirely normal, actions that no one has ever suggested could be problematic. Yet these very habits are silently, insidiously affecting their kidneys. This deterioration unfolds without pain, without overt signs, without any clear warning. The most perplexing aspect of this entire scenario is that these habits often don't seem detrimental. In fact, they frequently strike us as correct, responsible, even fundamentally healthy choices. Today, our discussion will center on this critical, often overlooked reality. We will delve into what the kidneys of someone over 60 truly require you to understand, and I urge you to remain with me until the very end, because the concluding segment of this discussion, revisiting Carmen's personal journey, will vividly illustrate precisely how transformative the right approach can be when diligently applied. Before I formally introduce myself, I want to articulate with absolute clarity what you will gain from engaging with this information today. Firstly, you will acquire a deep and precise understanding of the exact biological mechanisms through which kidneys, particularly after the age of 60, can undergo deterioration without betraying any obvious symptoms. This won't be a vague, generalized explanation. Rather, it will be presented with specific terminology, logical frameworks, and vivid metaphors designed to ensure these concepts remain indelibly clear in your mind. This profound comprehension of the underlying mechanisms is crucial, for when you truly grasp how a problem operates, you cease to merely fear it and instead empower yourself to actively address it. Secondly, I will unveil the specific habit we are discussing, a habit that often hides in plain sight within your daily life, and equip you with the knowledge to identify it, along with a concrete, actionable change you can implement today, not next week, but genuinely today. And thirdly, as we conclude this video, I will present you with a simple yet powerful 3-minute ritual comprising 3 distinct steps, one for each minute, which you can perform this very evening before retiring to bed, thereby initiating the protection of your kidneys starting tomorrow, all without the need for expensive supplements, complex prescriptions, or a complete overhaul of your dietary habits. In essence, this video will provide you with 3 tangible takeaways: a clear understanding of the mechanism, a practical solution, and an immediate action plan. My name is Martin Herrera, and I am an internist specializing in preventive nephrology. For a quarter century, 25 years to be precise, I have dedicated my practice to accompanying individuals over the age of 50 who contend with renal, metabolic, and cardiovascular challenges. My professional journey has taken me through clinics in Mexico, Colombia, and Argentina, affording me the privilege of treating patients in both private consulting rooms and public health centers. Across these diverse settings and over these many years, I can unequivocally state that a distinct and recurring pattern emerges. Individuals presenting with silent kidney damage are almost never those who have overtly neglected their health. On the contrary, they are almost invariably those who genuinely believed they were making the correct and healthy choices. This profound observation is precisely the first reframe I want you to internalize today. Your kidneys are not damaged because you were careless or indifferent. They are damaged because no one adequately taught you how to care for them, specifically after the age of 60. This central thesis forms the bedrock of our work here. We are not here to assign blame. Rather, we are here to furnish you with vital information that, in an ideal world, you should have possessed years ago. One final point before we proceed. I encourage you to share in the comments section below which city or country you are watching from today. This not only helps me understand the geographical breadth of our community, but also provides invaluable insight into the common dietary habits prevalent in various regions. For the very issue we are about to discuss today can vary significantly depending on where you reside and the foods you habitually consume. Please take a moment to write your city. I eagerly await your responses down below. Now, let us turn our attention to the very heart of the matter. Why are the kidneys of someone over 60 years old inherently so vulnerable to this insidious, silent form of damage? The answer lies in the synchronous interplay of three powerful biological forces, each operating simultaneously. When these three forces converge and act in concert, the damage progresses relentlessly, often without you perceiving even the slightest sensation. It is imperative that you grasp each of these three forces, because the comprehensive solution we will discuss specifically targets all three. And if you address only one, the other two will continue their detrimental work against your health. The first of these forces is aptly described as the filter that's no longer new. To truly visualize this, imagine a water filter installed beneath your kitchen sink. When it's brand new, it meticulously filters everything, performing its function flawlessly, efficiently separating impurities and allowing only pristine, clean water to pass through. However, every such filter possesses a finite lifespan, measured in liters of water processed. After 40 or 50 years of diligent use, even if you've maintained it conscientiously, its internal membrane inevitably begins to wear down. The microscopic pores within it gradually enlarge, permitting substances that it once effectively retained to slip through, and simultaneously, it starts to clog with greater ease. This analogy precisely mirrors what transpires within your kidneys after you reach the age of 60. Your kidneys are equipped with millions of these remarkable microscopic filters, known as glomeruli. That's the specific term, glomeruli, which are, in essence, the fundamental filtering units. Each kidney, astonishingly, houses approximately 1 million of them. The critical point is that from around the age of 40, we naturally begin to lose glomeruli. This process is entirely physiological. It is not a disease, but rather a normal aspect of aging. Yet, by the time we reach 60, this loss has become significantly pronounced. Longitudinal studies, such as one compellingly published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases in 2018, have revealed that renal function, quantified as the glomerular filtration rate, GFR, which is the rate at which your kidneys efficiently cleanse your blood, declines by approximately 1% per year, starting from the age of 40. While this 1% might seem negligible on an annual basis, by the age of 65, this cumulative 1% annual reduction can translate into a substantial 20% to 30% drop in function compared to your renal capacity at 40. And this decline represents what occurs under conditions of normal aging, entirely devoid of any habits that might accelerate the process. The core problem, however, is that a vast majority of the habits we will explore today do indeed accelerate this natural deterioration. Thus, the first challenge is that your filter, while not broken, has accumulated years of use. It is no longer new and requires less effort to suffer further damage. The second biological force at play is the pipes that are narrowing. Extending our household analogy, now envision that in the same home where your water filter is worn, the very pipes responsible for delivering water to that filter are gradually constricting. What inevitably happens under such circumstances? Despite the filter's valiant efforts to perform its function, it receives less water, and that water arrives with diminished pressure. Consequently, impurities begin to accumulate upstream even before they reach the filter itself. This is an apt representation of the effect that uncontrolled arterial hypertension exerts within the intricate vascular network of your kidneys. A staggering 68% of individuals over the age of 60 in Latin America suffer from hypertension, according to data from the Pan-American Health Organization, and a significant proportion of these individuals may have their blood pressure readings well controlled when measured on their arm with a sphygmomanometer. Yet within the minute, delicate blood vessels that supply the kidneys. This control is lacking. These tiny, crucial vessels are termed afferent and efferent arterioles. They constitute the intricate channels responsible for transporting blood to and from the glomerulus, that microscopic filter we discussed earlier. When blood pressure remains chronically elevated, these arterioles gradually harden and narrow. As a result, the kidney is subjected to blood arriving at excessively high pressure and velocity, which relentlessly damages the delicate membrane of the filter. It is akin to continuously directing a high-pressure hose against a fragile coffee filter. The paper might withstand it momentarily, but it cannot endure such force indefinitely. Crucially, and this is a point of paramount importance, this process is entirely painless. There are no external signals. The internal pressure within the kidney's vessels is simply not perceptible from the outside. The third and arguably most insidious force is the guardian that is asleep. This third mechanism is one that very few people are aware of, and in my professional estimation, it stands as the most perilous of the three, precisely because its nature appears so benign and harmless. To understand this, let's return to our imagined home, where you might have a dedicated security guard. His primary duty is to vigilantly detect threats and respond swiftly and robustly whenever danger arises. However, imagine this guard has been working the same demanding shift for years, relentlessly, leading to profound exhaustion. Now, when an intruder enters, even if it's someone who shouldn't be there, he no longer reacts with the same speed or the same decisive force. This weary, unresponsive guard is a metaphor for your renal inflammatory system. As we age, and particularly after the age of 60, the delicate renal tissue develops what researchers refer to as chronic low-grade inflammation. This is not the acute, visible, and painful inflammation you experience when you twist an ankle. Rather, it is a silent, persistent, unseen, and unfelt inflammation that remains perpetually active. This low-grade inflammation is precisely like that sleeping guard who no longer responds effectively. It fails to diligently clear away the metabolic waste products that accumulate within the renal tissue. It neglects to repair the minor, everyday damage that inevitably occurs. It allows damaged cells to proliferate and aggregate until the problem is no longer a minor issue, but a significant and entrenched pathology. A comprehensive meta-analysis published in Nephrology Dialysis Transplantation in 2020 conclusively identified that elevated inflammatory markers, most notably C-reactive protein, CRP, and interleukin-6, IL-6, are chronically present in over 70% of patients aged 60 and above who exhibit early renal deterioration without any prior diagnosis of kidney disease. In essence, the guardian has been asleep for an extended period, and no one sounded the alarm. Before I offer you the actionable solutions, I must emphasize a critically important point. When individuals receive the distressing news that their kidneys are not functioning optimally, their initial instinct, and one that I completely understand as it is a perfectly logical human response, is to simply do more. This often manifests as drinking excessive amounts of water, engaging in more strenuous exercise, resorting to various supplements, or drastically eliminating salt from their diet entirely. And here lies the crucial paradox, the information that no one typically shares with you. Certain of these well-intentioned actions, when undertaken without the precise and correct information, can in fact exacerbate the very three biological mechanisms we have just meticulously described. For instance, consuming water in excessive quantities, and particularly in sudden, large gulps, can severely overload a kidney filter that is already compromised and deteriorated. Similarly, the abrupt and brutal elimination of sodium from your diet can severely dysregulate the delicate pressure balance within the renal blood vessels, creating more problems than it solves. Furthermore, certain popular supplements, especially some of the most widely promoted ones, are metabolized by the kidneys, thereby significantly increasing their workload precisely at a time when they are least equipped to handle such additional stress. And the specific habit we are about to reveal fits perfectly into this precarious category. It appears beneficial, it seems responsible, and very often it comes as a recommendation from a trusted friend, family member, or even a medical professional, yet it is simultaneously and detrimentally affecting all three of these vulnerable biological forces within your kidneys. Let us now examine this habit in detail, the habit we are addressing today. The insidious factor silently eroding kidney health is the excessive and unregulated consumption of protein, a practice particularly prevalent among individuals over 60 who have often begun to significantly increase their protein intake. This increase frequently stems from well-meaning medical advice, recommendations from fitness enthusiasts at the gym, or even familial counsel, all without a comprehensive understanding of how an aging kidney actually functions. Hold on, I anticipate your thought process. But doctor, I've always been told that protein is absolutely essential to prevent muscle loss as I age. And you are entirely correct. Protein is important for muscle preservation. That precisely is the heart of the problem. The core recommendation itself isn't inherently flawed. What is conspicuously absent is the crucial second part of that recommendation, the nuanced, often unstated aspect that almost no one provides. Let's systematically connect protein consumption to each of the three forces we've explored. Our first connection links protein and the filter that's no longer new. When you consume protein, your body diligently metabolizes it, a process that inherently generates nitrogenous waste products. The primary and most significant of these is urea. This urea must, by physiological necessity, be expelled from the body, and the sole pathway for its excretion is via the kidneys. A young, robust kidney with its full complement of 1 million healthy glomeruli operating efficiently can manage this metabolic load without any difficulty whatsoever. However, recall that by the age of 60, you have already experienced a natural loss of between 20% and 30% of that original filtering capacity. Consequently, this is what transpires. You consume protein, leading to the production of urea, which then reaches your kidneys. Your kidneys, now with compromised filtering capacity, attempt to process it, resulting in an overloaded filter. The remaining healthy glomeruli are compelled to compensate for the lost ones by working harder and faster. This sustained extra workload dramatically accelerates their own deterioration. It is exactly like demanding that 7 filters perform the work that was previously handled by 10. Each individual filter is forced to labor more intensely, causing it to wear out and degrade at an accelerated rate. This phenomenon is scientifically termed compensatory hyperfiltration, and it is recognized as one of the most thoroughly documented mechanisms underlying chronic renal deterioration. A compelling study published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology in 2019, involving over 2,000 adults aged 55 and older, revealed that diets incorporating more than 1.3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day were significantly associated with a markedly faster decline in renal function among individuals who already exhibited even mild, often undiagnosed kidney impairment. The second critical connection is between protein and the narrowing pipes. The metabolism of protein, particularly when consumed in excess and predominantly from animal sources, creates a physiological state that researchers refer to as a renal acid load. In this state, your body produces a greater quantity of acid, and your kidneys are then forced to work overtime to eliminate this excess acidity, striving to maintain the delicate pH balance balance of your blood. What precisely is the effect of this excess acid on the intricate blood vessels within the kidney? It causes them to become inflamed. Replied, and I inquired about any dietary changes she might have made over the preceding 2 or 3 years. She recounted a story that I encounter with alarming frequency. Her son, with genuinely good intentions, had recommended that she incorporate protein powder into her daily routine to combat age-related muscle loss. She began with a single scoop, then increased it to 2. Later, another family member suggested she consume more meat to further supplement her protein intake. There was no excessive salt, no alcohol consumption, no deliberate neglect of her health. Instead, there was an unregulated surplus of protein imposed upon the kidneys of a 63-year-old woman that already carried their own accumulated wear and tear. Once we judiciously adjusted her protein intake, and this is a crucial distinction, without eliminating it entirely, but rather by optimizing its quantity and distributing it appropriately throughout her day, utilizing the correct and kidney-friendly sources, her renal markers over the subsequent 3 months showed visible and tangible improvement. Her primary care physician corroborated this positive trend through follow-up laboratory analyses. Carmen did not eliminate protein. Carmen learned how to effectively use protein. That nuanced difference truly is everything. So let's transition to the tangible and practical. What does a typical dietary day look like? One that actively protects your kidneys after 60, without necessitating the complete elimination of protein and without transforming your life into an overly complicated or restrictive regimen? Let me paint a moment-by-moment picture for you. Upon waking, before breakfast, simply consume 1 glass of lukewarm water, just 1. Avoid the common misconception of downing 3 glasses at once, believing it will cleanse your kidneys. This is a myth that, in fact, can prematurely overload your filtering system early in the morning. 1 glass, at room temperature or slightly warm, serves as a gentle signal to your kidneys. The day is beginning. Start your work slowly and steadily. For breakfast, consider 2 scrambled or boiled eggs, prepared however you prefer. Eggs offer a high-quality protein source with a notably low renal acid load compared to red meat, making them one of the most superior protein choices for aging kidneys. Accompany your eggs with a generous portion of vegetables, sliced tomatoes, sautéed spinach, half an avocado, if you tolerate it well, and a slice of whole grain bread or a corn tortilla. Do not eliminate complex carbohydrates. The presence of complex carbohydrates in the morning helps to reduce the body's reliance on protein as an energy source, which directly translates to your kidneys processing fewer nitrogenous waste products throughout the day. This isn't a minor detail, it's a direct causal chain. For your mid-morning snack, choose a piece of fruit, an apple, a pear, papaya, guava, or any fruit you enjoy. If you habitually consume a protein powder supplement at mid-morning, this is precisely the moment to engage in a conversation with your physician about it. I am not prohibiting it, but rather emphasizing that the dosage, the source, and the timing of such supplements are far more critical than you might have previously been told. Lunch, or your main meal, should be your most substantial meal of the day. This is where your most significant protein intake for the day belongs, a portion of protein approximately the size of your palm, no larger. This can be chicken, fish, or legumes. Fatty fish like salmon, sardines, or mackerel offer the added advantage of omega-3 fatty acids, which we will touch upon shortly. Complement this with an abundance of vegetables, aiming for half your plate if possible, cooked or raw, whichever you prefer. For your carbohydrate source, opt for brown rice, sweet potato, or lentils, whatever is readily available in your kitchen. There is no need to visit specialty stores or purchase unusual ingredients. For your afternoon snack or merienda, a handful of walnuts or almonds, no more than 20 to 25 grams, is ideal. Walnuts are an excellent source of plant-based protein with documented anti-inflammatory effects, precisely what that sleeping guardian within your kidneys needs. Finally, dinner should be light. This is the meal where many individuals over 60 tend to make the most errors. Often, their heaviest animal protein meal is consumed at dinner, perhaps because they have more time to cook or because it's when the family gathers. The crucial problem is that the kidneys operate on functional cycles that adhere to your circadian rhythm. Their nocturnal filtering capacity is significantly lower. Therefore, a dinner laden with animal protein represents the heaviest load placed upon your kidneys at their moment of lowest capacity. An ideal kidney-friendly dinner might consist of vegetable soup, a slice of fresh cheese, another egg, a simple salad, or some fruit if you're still hungry. Remember, you don't have to change everything at once. Start by simply modifying your dinner, just your dinner, and observe the results over 3 weeks. Please tell me in the comments, does this suggested daily format seem useful to you? Is it something you could realistically adapt with the ingredients you already have in your kitchen? I genuinely want to understand if this feels applicable or if I need to adjust my recommendations to better suit your circumstances. Now, I am going to reveal the 3 most common errors that can effectively nullify all the valuable insights you have just absorbed. And I must warn you up front, it is highly probable that you are currently committing at least one of these. Not because you are careless or neglectful, but because no one has ever adequately explained why it constitutes an error. The first profound error is distributing all your protein intake into a single meal. This is regrettably the most widespread mistake and, paradoxically, the most counterintuitive. The reasoning behind it often appears sound. If I'm going to eat protein, I'll consume it all at once, so I don't have to think about it throughout the day. However, the critical flaw in this logic is that your kidneys are simply not designed to process massive, sudden surges of urea. When you ingest a large quantity of protein in one sitting, the production of urea escalates abruptly and substantially. This forces your kidney filter to labor at its absolute maximum speed for 2 or 3 consecutive hours. This intense, acute workload is precisely the compensatory hyperfiltration we discussed earlier, significantly accelerating wear and tear. In stark contrast, when you judiciously distribute the identical total amount of protein across 3 or 4 smaller meals or eating occasions throughout the day, the urea load never reaches that damaging peak. Your kidneys are allowed to work in a sustained, consistent manner, never being pushed to maximum pressure. The same total quantity of protein, but a different distribution, yields a completely distinct and vastly more favorable outcome for your kidney health. Do you now understand why this is not fundamentally a problem of discipline, but rather a crucial matter of adequate information? The second pervasive error is drinking excessive amounts of water with the mistaken belief that it washes the kidneys. This particular mistake is most frequently committed by individuals who are, ironically, highly health conscious and genuinely striving to do what's best. The logic seems impeccable. More water equals cleaner, healthier kidneys. However, there is a critical point of saturation. When water is consumed in excess, specifically more than 3 liters daily for individuals without intense physical activity or exposure to extreme heat, the kidneys are compelled to manage a volume that surpasses their current filtration capacity, particularly if that capacity is already diminished due to aging. This overhydration can lead to the dilation of the glomeruli, disrupt the delicate balance of electrolytes, and in sustained cases, induce a condition known as dilutional hyponatremia, characterized by dangerously low sodium levels in the blood, which paradoxically inflicts damage upon the kidneys from within. The appropriate quantity of water for the vast majority of individuals over 60 typically ranges between 1.5 and 2.5 liters per day, an amount that should be adjusted based on climate, activity levels, and whether they are taking diuretic medications. More is not always better. It is not a competition of liters. The third critical error is completely eliminating salt without medical guidance. When an individual receives the daunting news that their kidneys are compromised, their immediate, well-intentioned reaction is often to completely remove all salt from their diet. And here emerges another profound paradox that is rarely explained. Your kidneys actually require a minimum baseline level of sodium to effectively regulate the intricate pressure within their own internal blood vessels. When sodium levels precipitously drop too low, too suddenly, the renin-angiotensin system, the highly sophisticated mechanism responsible for regulating pressure within the kidney, enters a state of panic. It then begins to aggressively retain every drop of fluid and sodium it can to compensate for the perceived deficit. This compensatory retention can dramatically elevate the pressure within the renal blood vessels, which is precisely the detrimental outcome we were attempting to avoid in the first place. While salt restriction is a valid and necessary intervention, in many cases, it must always be implemented gradually, under strict medical supervision, and with regular monitoring of blood sodium levels, rather than through an abrupt, self-imposed ban. I ask you honestly, in the comments section below, which of these 3 common errors do you believe you might have been committing? I pass no judgment whatsoever. In fact, if you made such an error, it is almost certainly because someone, with the best of intentions, advised you that it was the correct course of action. The fundamental problem was never your effort or your desire to be healthy. The problem was, and often remains, incomplete or inaccurate information. Before we proceed, I must convey something that, to me, is not a mere formality, but an absolutely essential part of our discussion. There are specific medical circumstances where the general principles we have discussed today require precise adjustment under the direct supervision of a qualified medical professional, and I want you to be unequivocally clear about these. If you have a confirmed diagnosis of chronic kidney disease, CKD, at stage 3 or higher, meaning your physician has already informed you that your renal function is significantly compromised, then any dietary protein adjustments must be meticulously managed by a nephrologist or a specialized renal dietitian. The protein quantities I have mentioned today are intended for prevention, not for the therapeutic management of advanced kidney disease. Furthermore, if you are currently taking angiotensin-converting enzyme, ACE inhibitors, such as enalapril, lisinopril, or ramipril, or angiotensin receptor blockers, ARBs, like losartan or valsartan, the management of potassium in your diet becomes critically important and absolutely cannot be undertaken independently. Some of the fruits and vegetables I have mentioned in this discussion are naturally rich in potassium and can interact adversely with these medications. Additionally, if you have type 2 diabetes with microalbuminuria, which indicates the presence of protein in your urine, your protein protocol differs from the standard recommendations and necessitates constant monitoring by a healthcare provider. Lastly, if you are taking metformin or other hypoglycemic medications and plan to implement dietary changes, ensure your doctor is fully informed before you begin. Having emphasized these crucial caveats, I want to reassure you that for the vast majority of individuals watching this video, those who do not have an advanced kidney diagnosis, but who simply wish to proactively protect their renal health before a problem even arises, everything we have discussed today is entirely applicable, safe, and robustly supported by scientific evidence. If you fall into this group, and it is highly probable that you do, then this video is profoundly for you, and you can confidently begin implementing these changes today. Now, we arrive at the segment I find most gratifying in these types of discussions: the allies. These are 4 specific foods or habits that, while not constituting the primary solution in themselves, when strategically combined with the foundational knowledge you have just acquired, dramatically multiply the positive effects on your kidney health. Our first invaluable ally is the cranberry. Whether you opt for blue or red cranberries, whichever variety is accessible in your region, these potent berries contain unique compounds called proanthocyanidins. These compounds exert a specific and highly beneficial action on the walls of your urinary tract and, crucially, on the low-grade inflammation within your renal tissue itself. A compelling study published in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology in 2016 found that the regular consumption of cranberries was significantly associated with a measurable reduction in renal oxidative stress among older adults exhibiting borderline kidney function. Let's connect this to our 3 forces: Cranberries effectively reduce the inflammatory burden on our sleeping guardian system. They possess a protective effect on the delicate vascular walls, our narrowing pipes. And critically, they are entirely devoid of protein, thereby generating no additional load for our worn filter. Aim for approximately half a cup 3 or 4 times per week, incorporated into your breakfast or mid-afternoon snack. Our second powerful ally is raw garlic. I know what you might be thinking. Garlic always seems to appear on these health lists. And while that's true, there's a very specific, often overlooked reason for its profound benefit to the kidneys. Garlic contains a remarkable compound called allicin, which possesses a well-documented vasodilatory effect on small blood vessels, including the very renal arterioles, those narrowing pipes that we discussed earlier. Consuming just 1 clove of raw garlic daily, either on an empty stomach if you tolerate it well, or grated over your food, can have a measurable impact on intraglomerular pressure. This isn't folklore, it's tangible biochemistry. The third ally is gentle movement after eating. This particular ally is often the most unexpected because it isn't a food item at all. Engaging in a leisurely walk for 10 to 15 minutes after your main meal of the day has a profoundly documented effect on the regulation of postprandial glucose, that is, the surge in blood sugar that occurs after you eat. Why is this so vital for kidney health? Because chronically elevated glucose levels relentlessly damage the delicate glomerular capillaries. This is one of the primary mechanisms of renal damage in individuals with diabetes. However, even in persons without a diabetes diagnosis, repeated spikes in postprandial glucose contribute significantly to the progressive deterioration of these capillaries over time. 10 minutes of gentle walking, not intense exercise, just simple movement, directly impacts all 3 of our vulnerable forces. Our fourth and final ally is dandelion tea, and here comes the truly unexpected connection. Dandelion, a plant that in many Latin American countries grows abundantly as a wild herb in gardens, often pulled out as a mere weed, possesses gentle, natural diuretic properties. Crucially, unlike many pharmacological diuretics, it does not deplete potassium from the body, nor does it overstress the kidneys when consumed in typical doses. Research published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine in 2011, corroborated by more recent studies in 2022, has confirmed its mild diuretic effect and its rich content of antioxidants, which exert a protective influence on renal tissue. A single cup of dandelion root infusion daily, preferably consumed mid-morning, can effectively support the filtering work of your kidneys without overtaxing them. This humble herb, which you might have been diligently trying to eradicate from your garden, could very well be actively protecting your kidneys. Which of these 4 powerful allies would you be most inclined to incorporate first into your daily routine? Please share your choice in the comments. Just one. The one that feels most accessible and implementable starting tomorrow. Your responses help me to understand the resources available in your region and how I can tailor future videos to be even more useful for you. Earlier, I promised a straightforward 3-minute ritual that you can commence this very evening. Here it is, comprising 3 simple steps, each requiring just 1 minute of your time. Step 1. The decision. Tonight, before you even begin preparing dinner, make a single, conscious decision regarding your protein source. Ask yourself just one question. What will be the primary protein source for this evening's meal? If your initial thought is red meat or processed sausage, consciously choose to replace it tonight with a more kidney-friendly alternative, an egg, chicken, fish, or legumes. This isn't a commitment for forever. It's simply for tonight. That is all. Step 1. One decision, 1 minute. Step 2, the review. After you have finished your dinner, within the next 30 to 40 minutes, take a moment to reflect on how much water you have consumed throughout your day. This doesn't need to be an exact, precise measurement, just a rough approximation. Did you drink more than 3 glasses? Less than 2? If you realize you've had very little, drink half a glass now. If you've consumed a great deal, refrain from drinking any more tonight and resolve to distribute your intake more evenly tomorrow. There's no need for a complex app, no need for a precise counter, just simple, mindful awareness. 1 minute of honest review. Step 3. The record. Open the Notes application on your phone or simply grab a piece of paper and a pencil and jot down 3 words that describe how your body feels today. We're not looking for medical symptoms here, but rather subjective sensations. Do you feel heavy, bloated, light, tired, or energized? Write down those 3 words and add the current date. You will repeat this simple exercise every night for 2 consecutive weeks. At the end of 14 days, when you review that personal record, you will begin to discern a subtle yet significant pattern, and that pattern will reveal more about your everyday kidney function than you might currently believe. This is not a diagnostic tool. It is a profound exercise in self-awareness, and self-awareness is unequivocally the first step toward any genuine and lasting change. 3 minutes tonight, that is all I ask of you. I want to return to Carmen once more. Carmen, 63 years old, from Guadalajara, the woman who initially posed the question, how is it possible that my kidneys are damaged if I never felt anything? Today, armed with the knowledge we've explored, I understand that her question held 3 distinct silent answers. The first, because her internal filter had been operating for years, with significantly less capacity than it possessed at 40, and no one had ever informed her that she needed to care for it differently. The second, because her pipes, her delicate renal blood vessels, had been under relentless pressure for an extended period, and the excessive, unregulated protein intake was actively constricting them at a rate faster than her body could naturally compensate. And the third, because her guardian, her intrinsic inflammatory defense system, had been in a state of chronic, low-grade slumber for years, and no one was providing it with the precise nutritional support it required to remain vigilant and active. 3 powerful forces operating in profound silence, giving no overt warning. Carmen, upon internalizing all of this critical information, took 3 simple yet profoundly impactful actions. She began distributing her protein intake across 3 distinct moments of her day, rather than concentrating it heavily at dinner. She strategically replaced her protein powder with eggs and legumes 4 days a week, and she initiated a routine of walking for 10 minutes after her main meal. In just 3 months, her laboratory analyses showed remarkable improvement. Her family doctor confirmed that the detrimental trend had visibly reversed. This was not the result of a miraculous cure, nor an exorbitantly expensive supplement, nor an arduous heroic regimen. It was the direct outcome of applied, patient, and precise information. My ultimate goal for you, as you conclude this discussion, is not merely that you feel motivated. Motivation, as we know, often wanes after a few days. Instead, I want you to finish this video feeling profoundly understood, to grasp that if your kidneys are not functioning optimally, it is not a personal failing on your part. It is, more accurately, because you were not provided with this comprehensive roadmap sooner. And crucially, I want you to understand that the damage that progresses in silence can also be arrested in silence, not through grand, dramatic gestures, nor through unsustainable sacrifices, but through small, consistent, well-guided decisions. This is the very essence of how a river carves a canyon. It does not shatter the rock with a single forceful blow. Instead, it gently surrounds it, sustains it, and over time, inexorably transforms it. You possess the power to achieve the same transformative effect with your renal health, starting today. Before you depart, please consider 4 quick actions. If this discussion has provided you with anything concrete, perhaps a mechanism you were previously unaware of, an error you might have been committing, or a powerful ally you can begin utilizing tomorrow, please give this video a like now. This isn't merely an automated gesture. That like signals to the algorithm that this type of valuable content is worthwhile, which in turn enables me to continue producing it for more individuals just like you. Secondly, please share this video with anyone over the age of 60 who might be taking protein powder, who has abruptly eliminated salt from their diet, or who has received unsettling news from a recent lab test indicating their kidneys are not entirely well. That person desperately needs this information, and they likely don't even realize they need it. Thirdly, please write the single word kidneys in the comments if you have truly reached this point in the video. This simple action confirms to me that the video was viewed in its entirety, that the algorithm is distributing it effectively, and that the time I asked of you today was genuinely worthwhile for both of us. And finally, the question that holds the most significance for me: which of the three biological forces we explored today do you believe affects you most profoundly? Is it the filter worn by age, the pipes under pressure, or the sleeping guardian? Please share your answer in the comments below. Your feedback is invaluable, as it directly informs me which video I need to create next for this dedicated community. And yes, rest assured, I continue to respond to your comments, because this is not merely an information channel. It is an open consultation. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.